Good morning. My name is Karen Kong and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Ottawa, Canada, and welcome to my This or That Thursday. So today we are making this simple twist fun fold card. Let me show you how it works. Oh, I'm holding it the wrong way. Just a second. There we go. Looks really impressive and it's really easy to make. Here we go, okay? So if you're joining me for the first time, feel free to say hi. I'd love to get comments, questions while I'm crafting because it's more fun when we craft together. So just give me a second. I'm going to get my computer set up so that I can see your comments while we're crafting live. And don't worry about writing out all the measurements as I give them, because I do always post that in my video description when I'm done. And so you can just enjoy watching and then craft along afterwards with the replay when you go to try it yourself, because I do encourage you to try it yourself. Okay, let me just see. Whoops. Oops. I'm trying to get the screen to be the right size while I'm crafting on my Facebook, and it's just, I'm not picking the right option. Why is it so hard to remember? I feel like there's like different buttons every time. That's so weird. Okay, I can only get full screen or like this minimized screen. I want the view where I can see your comments, because that's the whole point. I don't know what it is today. Why can I not see the comments? Huh. Okay, I feel like I've pressed every button here. Oh, okay, I got it. All right, I'm finally set up. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm set up to go, and I'm just gonna switch you over to my desktop. So close your eyes while I move the phone so that you can see my desktop, okay? Here we go. So say hi if you're joining in. I do love to get questions. I love to chat and hang out with you guys. And it's more fun to craft together, of course. All right. So here we go. Where's the card gone to? Here we are. Good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Anne. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so I was actually surprised that the votes were for the simpler card. I thought for sure that we'd be doing the harder card today. But that's good. That's good. This is a great card to make when you're a beginner, but it's also really great to make when you're an avid card maker, because this is easy to whip off and like it looks really impressive. So it opens up like this and you can lay it flat for writing. And you know, I'll tell you what, the Thoughtful Journey DSP, which is what I'm using today, it reminded me so much of the, I think it was called On the Horizon. Well, the stamp set was called On the Horizons, and the DSP that went with it was very similar to this. So I was excited to put those two together. I didn't use the dies or anything, not too much in this particular card. I do have some other cards that I'm going to give you a sneak peek of at the very end that I did use these dies with, but they work well with this particular DSP too. So I thought it was great. So I'm going to switch it up for this live. So you can see that I used this piece of DSP, which is, when you have it whole, I should have pulled this out beforehand. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Probably not. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Found it. Now the trick is to get it out. Okay, here we go. That's the whole piece. Okay, so I trimmed until I got the right section that I wanted to put into my focal point on the front of the card. And I thought it would be fun to switch it up and use a different piece for my live. Okay, so I'm going to use this piece. And the way I picked my colors, of course, is to match the DSP. So I looked at the colors on the back of the DSP pack to pick my colors. And for this particular one, it doesn't have any of the, I think it's Petunia Pop that's in here. Let me just double check. Yeah, this one has Petunia Pop in it and Lost Lagoon, and the Blackberry Bliss sets all of that off very nicely, but there's no purples in this one. So I am going to use Pretty Peacock with the Wild Wheat and Boho Blue instead, okay? So thought I'd switch it up to have some fun, okay? So let's move some things out of the way and make some room. There's no die cutting today. Like I said, it's a super, super simple card. All you need is stamps, ink, and paper, okay? So let's cut the card base first. So I'm going to make my card base out of Pretty Peacock instead of the Blackberry Bliss. All right, so let's pull that out. All right, so just let me get my measurements here. Okay, so the card base is 4 1/4 by 11. So this is an 8 1/2 by 11. I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise. 4 1/4. Okay, and I'll use the cutting blade. And we're going to score that at 5 1/2. That's the halfway mark. Using the scoring blade. Okay, now I'm going to score it also just a little tick mark at 4 1/4. So I'm going to bring this back to 4 1/4. And I'm just going to make a little tick mark down here so I know where that is. Okay, but I'm not going to go all the way up the paper. Just a little tick mark. Okay, now I'm going to turn it diagonal. I'm going to match up the tick mark and the top corner here, the diagonal corner, in the groove. Okay, so because we're going to go ahead and score that. Once I have that lined up, I'm going to get my fingers out of the way. Okay, and that's all we need for that. Okay. Let me show you how that gets folded, and we'll cut the rest afterwards. Okay, so this is my diagonal. I'm going to fold it backwards, and then we'll close the fold like this. Okay, so let's burnish that. There we go. Okay, so there is your fun fold. That's really all there is to it. Now we're just going to cut the layers that go on top of it. Okay, so I'm going to put Wild Wheat on top. Let me get out a sheet. And my trimming blade, paper trimmer. Okay, and so I'm going to cut this 4 by 4. So let me cut off a 4 by 4. Let me make some more room. Let's move this down here. Okay, 4 by 4. So let's trim this one. 4 by 4. Okay. I also need a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. So let's see. I think this might be 5 1/2. I'm just going to grab my ruler. Actually, I'll just measure it here. 5 1/4. Okay. So let's cut this 5 1/4. And 4 inches. Okay, that's my second piece. And I need 1 by 4. Actually, I need 2 of them. Let me just see what this is. Is this 4 inches by any chance? Oh, it's my lucky day. That's 4 inches long. So let's cut 1 inch. I'm going to use the right side for measuring my 1 inch. Okay, that's for the front. And then I need 1 more for the inside. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cut that one out of Boho Blue. You can switch the colors around as you see fit. I'm going to change it up a little bit because I want to show you what it looks like. I'm switching the colors around a little bit, but you can decide which ones you want next for your card, okay? I need a mat of 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. So let's see how wide this one is. Oh, this one will work. Okay. Oh. Excuse me. I could feel that coming on. 3 5/8 is right here. 3 5/8 again, so it's a square. Okay, and oh, I said I was going to cut 1 more as 1 by 4. So let's see if this is 4 inches. Oh, that'll be enough. Okay, so let's cut 1 inch. By 4 inches. Thank you, Sandra. I sneeze all year round now. It's just ridiculous. Okay, I think I have all of my... No, I need 1 more piece of DSP. I don't have any... Actually, I need 2 pieces of DSP. All right, so I want to center my image, so I don't want too much sky. So let's see. I want a piece of DSP that is 3.5 by 3.5. So I think I'm going to take it from this section. So let's measure 3.5 from here. And okay, so what I do when I'm playing around with which section I want to cut out, I'm going to measure 3.5 here. So if I were to cut 3.5 here, I think I would have too much sky and I lose too much of the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up. I'm going to move it up to here. This is 4.5 inches, and we'll play around with it. I feel like that's almost too much ground. Okay, so let's put that down to here again. 4. Okay, I'm going to cut it at 4, and I'm going to aim to cut another 1/2 inch off the top, I think, here. Okay, and I'm going to use the right side to measure my 1/2 inch. There we go. I think that looks good. All right. I also need another piece that is 7/8 by 3 7/8, which will be the right side. That'll be on the right side here. So let's take this again. And I need it to be 7/8, so let's chop off 7/8 here. I like using the right side to measure because my hand is in the way here, so I can't see. Well, even if I do this, it's just a little easier to measure on the right hand side when I'm measuring smaller than 1 inch. Okay, so that's 7/8, and we need 3 7/8 of that. So let's cut off a 1/2 inch like we did before. And this time we'll measure 3 7/8 from here. Whoops, I moved it. I knew that. Okay, I think that's all I need, and we can just assemble. Let's move those pieces out of the way. All right. So this piece is going to get the square piece of wild wheat here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the corners. So you're going to want to line up the corner on both diagonal points with the fold underneath. Okay, so when it's lined up, those corners will be right over the fold. Okay, so let's put some sorry, I'm just needing to wipe my nose. That's what happens on live. All right, I'm gonna get my Stampin' Seal out. And I'm gonna put my silicone mat underneath just so that I don't get any adhesive underneath onto the cardstock. So that way I can go right up to the edge if I want to. Okay, so like I said, you have to line up the corners. So that you get the perfect lineup. There we go. All right, and we'll put the other piece of wild wheat on the inside here as well. Okay. There we go. Okay, now if you'll notice, my original card, I was following Connie Stewart on her card, and she had matched the matting for the side piece here to the center piece over here. But I think what I'd like to do for this card is actually use the same color, wild wheat, for this matting instead. Okay. I think I'm going to use glue this time so I have a little bit of wiggle room as I place it down, because it is a little bit skinnier, and I'll need to line up the edges. Okay. And let's get the trusty tweezers out. Okay, so I'm going to lay this flat. I'm going to use this as a guideline because you want it to be centered between the edge of this flap and the end of the card. That looks good. There. All right. So now I'm just going to put the corresponding DSP right here. And I think I'm going to use glue again. Oh, Sandra's saying she's used wild wheat for the first time. And yes, I find that it looks really good as sort of a faux gold color. It's definitely different from all the other colors that are in the palette, that's for sure. Okay, so everything else has about 1/8 of an inch gap, but the DSP, when you mat it, it's just a 1/16 of an inch. So requires a little bit more alignment, but it looks really good. All right. Okay. This one is actually matted over here, but I'm going to stamp it first because if something happens, then I have the chance to cut another piece and fix it, right? Not not be stuck with this one already matted. So let's, I'm going to stamp in Pretty Peacock. And I'm going to use the sentiment that I used before this is from my prized Peony stamp set. I thought the vertical sentiment worked well with this particular piece of DSP. Okay, my thoughts are with you, so it'll fit right in here. I think that looks great. So let's get my block out. Okay, so I'm just going to check, because with the red rubber you can't see right through, and you can't align anything with the words easily. So because your sticker on the front may or may not mimic exactly where the alignment is on the back, so I always turn it over and I will align these words to the edge of the stamp. So I'm kind of looking at it, I'm eyeballing it, and I'm saying, okay, this looks about straight. You can use your grid paper to help you align it, so that when I go to turn it over, I'm going to use the edge of my stamp, my block, to line up this stamp. Okay? So I'm just going to do a test stamp on a piece of scrap. I always like to see that it's inking up properly and that it's stamping nicely. That looks pretty good. All right, we're ready to go. So let's ink this up. Okay, so this is straight, and I'm going to use the edge of my block to guide me as to whether or not this is straight as well. Okay, I'm just pressing gently. That looks good. I'm just cleaning off my stamp off to the side here. Let's close this up before I ink myself. Okay, so now that it's been stamped nicely, I'm going to go ahead and adhere it to my mat. Oops. It's a pretty cold day out there today, and I am so happy because yesterday was a snow day, so my daughter was home all day, my husband was home all day. Today I have the whole house to myself, and I don't have to go anywhere, and I can just work on my crafting, and it's just so nice. It's a different vibe when you're home alone and it's quiet, right? So this is going to go there. I'm not going to put it on just yet because I do have to still adhere this piece. I just remembered that. So I'm going to lay it flat now so that I can line it up with the edge of the wild wheats as my guide for centering it. Okay, so I'm going to use the wild wheat and the edge of the fold to center my piece here. All right, so I'm missing a white piece that goes here. So there is a white piece for writing your sentiment on. Let me just figure out where my measurement went to. Of course, I am in the quandary of where did I put that whatever. And I know I wrote this down on pad of paper, but it beats me. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the sentiment mat should be 3 3/4 by 5. Let me get out a piece of white for that. I think off-white would probably work well in this one too, actually. If you wanted to do the very vanilla, that might look really good here too, but I'm going to go with white right now. So, I've got to bring back my trimmer. What did I say? 3 3/3 by 5. Okay, so let's cut 5 this way. Actually, I'm going to cut 5.5 because normally when we're cutting mats and stuff, it's like I'll cut half exactly. Yeah, I'm getting through this really fast because it's a super easy card. It's the only thing that's slowing me down is my own memory because I cannot remember the measurements that I just read like 2 seconds ago, you know. Okay, 3 3/4 by 5. And I am going to bring back my On the Horizon stamps, and I'm going to use the grass here, okay? I swear it is like, it is such a great match, right? It looks like the same kind of grass that they used for the Horizon DSP too. Okay, let me grab my block. This one's a bit bigger and I don't have a bigger block handy, so I'm just going to do it diagonally. And I'm looking for my wild wheat. And we'll stamp it in wild wheat just along the bottom because I figured this is more of a sympathy or a card where you may want to write a little bit more. And I don't want to put any sort of stamped sentiment in the middle. So I'm just going to put a little bit of decoration on the bottom. I need something underneath here, just if I go off the edge. Okay, so like this. There. Alright, so really, it is a super simple card. I stamped twice, I cut a whole bunch of paper, assembled it, and that really is the gist of this card. And it looks more difficult than it is. But it looks amazing, right? It looks impressive. I think that's what I was actually trying to say, is that it looks more impressive and more difficult than it actually is to make. Oops. That is the beauty of glue, because it can shift it. All right, so I'm going to put this on finally, and I'm going to use dimensionals. It gives it a little bit of extra depth. So this one has dimensionals. I think you can see if you look that way. So let's get some dimensionals out. Alright, so I'm going to center this. There is a bit more of a gap on this one, like a 1/4 inch gap, and I'm going to line up the corner again here, and I am lining up the corner again over here. And that is the card. Look at that. Super easy and so fast. Look at me. I already did it in like a half hour from start to finish, and I hadn't pre-cut anything. Amazing. Okay, so look at this. The original card that I cased used the same color formatting for this focal point DSP, and then also on the side. But I decided to actually change it slightly. I used the wild wheat on both the focal point area and on the side. I think it looks more, I don't know what the word is, cohesive. Does that make sense? But really, it's just, you know, personal preference. And then I used Boho Blue here as the accent, whereas the Lost Lagoon that I used here was used as the main matting color. So you can play around with it. See what you think looks best. It's really just personal preference, but here you are. So same DSP pack, different sets of colors. I think it looks really great. Both of them look really great and easy to make. So please go ahead and try it with what you have in your stash. Any sort of scenery works really well with this kind of, this particular card. I might even try it with something that's not really scenery per se, just to see what that looks like. But have fun with it and enjoy. So I hope you're inspired to make some cards with this week. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week. Have a great one. Bye.